First of all, I guess the obvious question is, we're in the middle of town meeting. How's it going?
I think it's going okay. It's always hard to tell, like the as far as the pacing, because we have been on a pace that appears to be too slow to finish when we need to finish. We have a pretty hard deadline on June 20th in order to get the finance articles completed, so that we actually have appropriations for our town budgets, which we need to kind of send up to the state. But the reason why it's hard to tell what the pacing is that it's very non-uniform, like the rate at which we get through articles. Like there could be an entire evening dedicated to like one article sometimes. Other times we might get through several in an evening. And so it's a small sample size, but we do our best to try to kind of make sure that we're on a pace. And so I spent some time last weekend kind of digging into just kind of analyzing a bit how we were spending our time in the meeting, and trying to forecast and project forward, given how many articles we have remaining. If we spend this much time debating each article on average, when will our completion date be? And so there was some concern that I think it's a very valid and legitimate concern that we were not on a pace to be able to finish in time. So I've taken some measures to try to mitigate those concerns, and that's where we're at now.
You just finished up session 6, and it seems as though you have picked up the pace
Yep.
by utilizing the 15-minute debate period, 75% straw poll after that.
That's right.
And it seems to have worked. You're obviously going to be using this in the future?
Well, I'd say it's pretty inconclusive. I mean, I'd love to be able to take credit for us getting through like 7 articles on Wednesday, whereas the several meetings before that we were on pace on average only getting through 3 articles. I don't feel I can't really take credit for that increase. I'm happy if you want to give me credit for that, but I can't really take that in good faith, because and the articles arguably were just less contentious, less controversial than articles that we were debating before. Also, this new 15-minute rule that you mentioned, which we were trying out on Wednesday night, it only got invoked once in the meeting. So it's hard to say whether there was a psychological impact, that maybe debate was hurried along knowing that that rule was in effect. It's really hard to know because we don't have the counterfactuals. We can't run an experiment of running the same exact meeting under the same circumstances with and without the rules. So it's hard. It's really hard to know what the impact is. But I am encouraged to see that the pace did pick up for whatever the reason was behind that.
And this is obviously your first town meeting as town moderator. You're going to have those who applaud your method of doing things. You're always going to have your detractors, thus the definition of the term moderator.
Yeah.
How are you handling that?
I'm actually, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable being in this role. I feel like for a number of years, like whether it was like political debates or so on, I've often found myself kind of sitting at what I feel is sort of like a balance point between like differing points of view, right? And there's a wide range of points of view, like in a town meeting and the policies that we have and the rules that we use at town meeting. There's a range of perspectives and opinions and views on that, right? And so I've gotten feedback from folks from like either end of the spectrum, folks who think that like the measures that, for instance, I put in place on Wednesday, and other measures too, taking some speakers out of order to kind of diversify the speakers that we're bringing forward to speak at town meeting. There's folks that feel that that's really improving the quality of democracy and representation at town meeting. And there's other folks who believe that some of the measures I put in place are harming the democracy and representation that we have at town meeting. And so, and there's a broad range of perspectives and opinions in between. So I just kind of take all that in stride, and I just do my best to take that input, give folks the benefit of the doubt that they're operating in good faith when they provide feedback, and just do the best that I can to incorporate that.
Indeed, and you're well into town meeting now. You still have a lot of ground to cover. What have you
Yeah.
learned so far in your first year being town moderator?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, and I knew I knew going in, even running a campaign of to take this job, that I knew it was going to be a lot of work. You just don't always know what the specific nature of that work is going to be until you get into the job. So I did a lot of preparation, like, spending a lot of time reading Town Meeting Time, the manual for the job, which I don't go anywhere without this now. Reading through like the town bylaws and so on. And I recognize that a lot of folks are still going to want more time to deliberate, and not even necessarily for themselves to speak, but a lot of folks I've gotten feedback from say that, well, they want to hear more debate so that they could have a stronger basis for making a decision on how they're going to vote to represent their precincts and the town. And that's, we have to look at all this in context, that we don't have infinite time to do this. Like in an ideal world, we would have like as much time as we wanted to debate everything until every last person who cares to speak is able to speak. But we don't have that much time. And right, so we don't want a very small number of folks to be able to hold the rest of the meeting against their will to listen to a debate that they don't want to listen to. And that's a hard balance to strike. And so I'm doing my best to try to strike that balance, and we'll make adjustments to try to achieve that balance point going forward.
Well, town meeting is a wonderful New England tradition, but no one said it was going to be easy. That's for sure. Is there anything you'd like to add before we say goodbye to you?
Just that, I mean, the job has been very stressful. It's been very demanding, which I expected. At the same time, I'm really enjoying the job. Like when I'm not kind of juggling, like dozens of emails coming in like constantly. I'm actually really enjoying the job, and I look forward to see how, like, we're at more than halfway through the number of articles, which doesn't mean that it's half the work, right? So they're not all the same amount of work, but it is good to see that we're at like 53% progress if you look at number of articles, right? But it's good to see that we're well into this, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we do with the remaining half of the articles.
All right, Greg Christiana, our town moderator, first town meeting, a great learning experience, and you're moving on. So thank you so much for your time. We know you're very, very busy, and we'll be in touch with you in the future.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to folks. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you, Greg. You're welcome anytime. Thank you.